Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Frankie and today I'm going to be going through really briefly the books I want to read in the month of August, so my August TBR. If you have not checked out my July wrap-up yet, you should check that out. But in that video I talked about how I read like a ton of books. I read like 14 books last month, and so my TBR for this month is going to try to reflect the fact that I believe in myself enough to read that many books again this month. You know, after this month, school is going to start for me. It's going to be my first year of college, so I'm really worried that my reading is really going to drop off and I'm not going to be getting to do as much reading as I want to because I'm going to be really busy with schoolwork and busy with like college. So I really want to get through a lot of books this month that I've either had on my TBR forever or new releases that I just want to get to. So hopefully I will be able to get to all of these, and if not, guess I'll have to find some other time. So the first two books I'm going to talk about are books that I'm reading for two different book clubs that I'm participating in. The first one of those is Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardoust. I'm reading this for the Sapphic Reads book club that Sasha at Midnight Books runs. I'll link her channel and her Twitter in the description. This is basically a YA fantasy about a princess who is like cursed to be like poisonous to the touch. It's a relatively new release from what I heard, and I'm really excited to read it because, you know, we're reading it for the Sapphic book club, so obviously it's Sapphic. I love a good FF romance, so I'm really excited to get to it. I've heard so many people say so many really good things. The second book that I'm reading for book club that I'm participating in is We Real Cool by Bell Hooks. This is a piece of nonfiction about Black masculinity and patriarchy and how white patriarchy, white patriarchal society shapes the lives of Black men. I'm reading this book for a book club that I'm in my like other personal life with a couple of people that I'm going to college with. I've already started it. I'm a few chapters in. It's already really interesting so far, and I think what Bell Hooks has to say about patriarchy and masculinity is really, really interesting, and it's worth checking out if it's something that you think sounds interesting to you. The next pile of books that I have are books from my 2020 TBR, so the list of books that I gave myself at the beginning of the year that I wanted to get through in the year of 2020. I'm going to try to get through a big chunk of these books this month because I'm not sure if I will have a lot of time in the remaining 4 months of the year because of school and all of that. So the first book that I want to get to from my 2020 TBR is Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This is a classic about a problematic teenage boy set loose in New York City. That's what I understand. I almost freaked out because like the back cover is the exact same as the front cover. Like, what's up with that? Anyway, that's all I really know about the book, and I think that's all I really need to know. It's a classic, it's good, people read it in high school. I didn't read it in high school, but I'm excited to read it now. Next up on my 2020 TBR is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is a historical fiction set during World War II about this like blind French girl and this German boy who like cross paths unexpectedly, and maybe they fall in love. I don't really know. I don't know anything about this book either. There's a ton of books in my 2020 TBR that like I know what they're about, but I also don't really know, you know? Like I know in a broad sense that this is a very popular historical fiction book, and I'm really excited to read it for that purpose. I don't read a ton of historical fiction, and I want to sort of jump in a place where, you know, like a lot of people have said a lot of really good things. So hopefully it will be a good introduction to the genre. Next up on the list is On Writing by Stephen King. This is Stephen King's memoir slash nonfiction book about writing and his like advice about writing. I think this is an interesting pick for me because I don't actually read a lot of Stephen King. I actually don't really read any Stephen King in general, but one of my friends who's also a writer and loves Stephen King was like, you should check this one out. It's a really good like writing book about writing. So I was like, okay, and I've had it on my TBR forever and I have it, so I want to read it. And even though I'm not a huge fan of Stephen King's work, and that is to say I have barely read any of his work, I hope that I can gain something from this, you know, as a writer, and hopefully it'll have some sort of sound advice for me that I can take away from it. Next up in the 2020 TBR is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is a very well-known dark academia book. It is the dark academia book, and it's about like a gang of students in like an elite New England college And I think they solve a mystery. Maybe there's a murder. Again, one of those books where like I know what it's about broadly, but like not specifically. So I'm excited to read it and find out what it is about, see what all of the Donna's Heart fuss is about. I have The Goldfinch too, so I want to also read that one. But I decided I would start with The Secret History because so many people say so many things about this. I hear about it constantly on Tumblr, and I really want to see if it is deserving of the hype, at least in my eyes. And finally, from the 2020 TBR is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. This is a classic about traveling around Europe. Again, don't really know, but Ernest Hemingway is an author that I've been wanting to get into for a really long time. I was initially going to read For Whom the Bell Tolls this year, but my parents have a very broad collection of Ernest Hemingway books, and for some reason I thought that they owned that one, but they actually don't. I think it's like the one Ernest Hemingway book they don't own. So I decided to switch to a book that I do already have, so I don't need to buy anything else. And so I'm starting with The Sun Also Rises. I'm not sure if this is a good place to start with Ernest Hemingway or not, but I'm excited to find out, and I'm really excited to get into him and more of his work, see if it is something I'd be interested in continuing reading. Wait, I lied when I said that was the last one on the 2020 TBR. The actual last one on the 2020 TBR is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is a classic about these two lovers who were together for a while when they were younger, but then the main character, Anne Elliot, she was persuasion out of marrying him, and now they're being reunited after like 7 years, and they're like sort of falling in love again from what I understand. I've already started this book a little bit. I'm listening to the audiobook, but I also have the physical copy, and I love Jane Austen. I love Pride and Prejudice. I liked Emma, so I'm excited to read more from her. I've been wanting to read this one for a while. Years and years ago, I read like a young adult fantasy adaptation of Persuasion. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called, but I remember being really interested in, like, I didn't love it, but I liked the story itself, so I'm glad to read the original and see what I think, and I really hope that Miss Jane Austen does not let me down. Okay, the last few books on my TBR are just some books that I already own and that I'm interested in reading this month. They're not on any specific TBR lists, but they're just some that I've been looking at and I'm like, yeah, like I want to get to those really soon. The first one is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. This is a piece of anti-racist nonfiction. I already sort of talked about it when I hauled it, but again, this is like the first book I'm reading in my attempt to further educate myself about Black Lives Matter movement and about being anti-racist, and I really want to get to it really soon. Next is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Of course, this is the sequel to Six of Crows. I think I've said this multiple times, but I read Six of Crows. I really enjoyed it. Really excited for the sequel. I've already started reading this one too, and so far I am very much enjoying it, and I can't wait to see it get better because I've heard so many people say that Crooked Kingdom is better than Six of Crows, so I'm really excited to get to the part where it starts to get better. From what I've read so far, I can already tell, like, yeah, I'm gonna love it. So yeah, we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. And then I also have for this month The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. Again, love Emily St. John Mandel. I say that all of the time. I'm so excited to read this book. It is a like horror / ghost story about a haunted hotel from what I know. I think I already said this before, but you're like, from what I hear, you're not supposed to go into it knowing like a lot, and like not knowing anything improves your experience. So yeah, really excited. Not gonna say anything else. Can't wait. Love you, Emily. And finally on the list for my 2020 TBR is Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay Ellis is one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, so when I heard that she was publishing a book, I had to pick it up, and I did. This is a sci-fi novel about like first contact and about like government secrets, I think. So I'm really excited to read it and get to that and see Lindsay Ellis's talent in action. Okay, so that is it for my August 2020 TBR and the books that I plan to read in the month of August. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or let me know some of the books that you are going to read in August in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps me out. And also, all of my social media links are in the description, so feel free to follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, or Goodreads if you would like And I think that's it. So I will see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.